Hello everybody, Father Bill Holtzinger here, and this is your Friday Reflection. Well, I'm not trusting my clerics. I just got back from the priest convocation. It's a Thursday afternoon, and the priest convocation is an annual gathering of, in this case, it was 130 priests, along with Archbishop Sample and Bishop Peter and the staff from the Pastoral Center. And it was a wonderful time. The goal of the meetings that we had from Monday through today were to reflect on a draft that the Archbishop has and a pastoral letter he wants to send out to the Archdiocese for us all to reflect and to start praying about and building what we're calling our mission renewal. It's been already going on for several years with a focus on the priests and recently on schools, etc. So, but I'll get into the details about that probably next week and maybe even the week after that. So there's a lot to say, but the details are not being fleshed out, and that's kind of why Archbishop wanted to get some input from us priests. What are, are there any blind spots, things that need to be talked about, ways of saying things to make sure that they're clear? And it was really helpful, I thought, anyhow. But I really want to today, and that's for next, but today I want to speak about and kind of tag on to Father Dominic's reflection on AI, artificial intelligence. Like, what is it and what is it not? He did a great job speaking from a spiritual and philosophical point. I want to kind of talk about and just kind of emphasize the more technical thing of what it is, because that's me, the nerd, right? The geek priest. So when you type on a computer, have you ever noticed that sometimes it knows the word you're about to finish spelling? Like if you said supercalifragilistic, and it just kind of auto fills in the potential rest of that. Yeah, that's a form of AI. It's using probability to fill in what you haven't yet said or written. Same true would be for a whole word. Sometimes you might say, the rain in Spain rains mainly in the, and then it just puts in Spain. Rains in Spain mainly in the, plain, I should say. Rain in Spain rains mainly in the plain. It'll know the word plain. It will actually auto kind of fill it in for you if you let it. When you do this many times, after you start saying and writing certain ways, it remembers, and when I say remembers, again, it's a computer that is just putting into a library the phrases that you would say, the words and vocabulary that you might use. Remember, in fact, you might even told it to remember certain specialized words, and so it will use those to help autocorrect when you're typing. This is using probability. It's not intelligent. It's just using math and probability. When you start saying something or writing something, it has a guess at to what it will be based on the frequency of those words being together. It's just probability, my friends, not intelligence. So now let's blow this up into something bigger, because that was the initial place of artificial intelligence, and we see it and we thought, oh, that's kind of neat. What has happened is companies like Google and others have created what they call large language models, or LLMs. These are being used, and what are these? These are humongous databases of documents and books, not just words, but entire books, large encyclopedias of information from around the internet and also other documents. I remember not too long ago, well, actually it's probably now 15 years ago or so, Google was getting books and scanning all these books. In fact, there were issues of copyright potentially. Some of them were in the public domain, not a problem, but some were not, and there was a controversy about that. But they have, because of what Google has, Google has this incredible database of all these texts. And there's controversies because some people on the internet have their websites and the information on them are proprietary to them. They might even say they're copyrighted, and they didn't give permission for anybody to use that for anything else but reading themselves, not to copy, not to use in an LLM. But that is the case. And there's different kind of LLMs. Like, actually, believe it or not, the Vatican has an LLM it uses internally, and it's filled with, guess what? That's right, church documents, a Bible, the catechism, original writings from saints, so magisterial documents, things like that. So the priests and people in the Vatican, if they use this LLM or this AI, they're able to quickly get references and other things to help them when they're writing. Like they're talking about what Pope talked about the poor, or talked about the issues with possibly the dehumanization of the industrial industry. That's, by the way, Pope Leo the 13th. He spoke about this. And it's funny because Pope Leo the 14th is speaking about it, but not about the Industrial Revolution, but the AI revolution and how it may be good or bad for us. So he's really keyed into this. It's one of the reasons he has chosen Leo the 14th, so that he's trying to make sure that these technologies, particularly AI, does not dehumanize us. In other words, when we type something into a computer, like web page, that is an AI, that's using a LLM to figure things out, it's not a real person on the other side. It may be able to respond back to us like it is a real person, but it's because it's got experience of documents that it has in its database of similar kind of conversations. It's just using probability. So, depending on which AI you use, you will get better references or better advice. But we can also program it to go in kind of crazy directions. Like Father Dominic said, it's not good or bad. It's kind of a neutral thing. It's a tool. And it does some amazing things. And I'll share some things that it can do. Some that are good and some that are bad. But we as Christians and just people in general, we're sinners. And we can take all kinds of things that are powerful and turn them for evil. We have the capacity for that, as well as the capacity for great good. So, here's an example of something that I experienced that got me, you could say, in trouble. I ended up telling a story that was not true. And it started with using Perplexity, which happens to be a particular AI. Could have been any other one. I just happened to be using that one. And I was working on a homily. And I wanted the theme of the homily, because of the scriptures I was reading, to be about doing a good thing. And I wanted a story that was real about someone who did a small good thing that turned out to be an amazing, great, big thing. So I typed that idea in there. I said, can you give me some stories, true stories, I said, about people who have done small things that turn into big good things, right? So it gave me a website, and it was Amazing True Stories. Okay, I've never seen the website. So I'm like, okay, don't know. Take a look at that. And there was a story that I grabbed onto. I'm like, this is amazing. I don't know a lot about history, World War II history, at least the specifics, especially this story that I read. And it goes like this. The story starts, and I'll try to summarize as best as I can, with a poor farmer who hears in the distance a young boy screaming who's fallen into a pit. The farmer goes and pulls him out of the pit, saves his life. The little kid goes home to his dad. And his dad, who's a rich man, comes back and thanks the farmer. He says, I want to pay you back. The farmer says, no. But while he's doing that in that conversation, the farmer's son shows up. Well, then the rich man said, okay, well, how about I'll pay for your son's education, and he can go to the same school my son's going to. The farmer agrees. So he goes off, and that kid goes to school. Well, that son becomes a biologist, a microbiologist, and a great doctor. And according to the story, he becomes the one that has discovered penicillin. And the story continues. Years more move on, and that rich man gets sick. But guess what? The discovery of this young kid that he sent to school saves his life. Wow, right? Well, the last name of this rich man, as the story goes, was the last name Churchill. And he's the father of a young kid. Remember, that young kid was in a pit. His first name is Winston. Winston Churchill. So what an amazing thing. Winston Churchill was an amazing figure in the Second World War, etc., right? And it all may not have been possible if that farmer had not saved him. Except for the fact that this story is not true at all. But I didn't know that. I think this is amazing. So a few weeks back, I went and gave a homily at St. Pius X, helping out with, just priest help. And I gave the story, trying to make it compelling, dynamic speaking and all that. And I said, people, then go out and do a good thing. You never know what will happen. I get an email from a parishioner. I'm so thankful for this. A parishioner from St. Pius X, who says, basically, I want to do a good thing. And Father, I want to let you know, that story you told is not true. And he gives me a link to Snopes, which, by the way, Snopes.com is a great place to go to see if stories that you hear seem unbelievable are true or false. They do some research on these common, what we'll call memes or stories or legends. And I'm like, oh no, I can't believe I did that. I'm pretty savvy about this stuff. I can tell videos and still images when they're AI generated. I did not know this in this regard. So I'm like, thank you so much. my bad. I stand corrected. And no, I'm not going to publish that homily. Normally I put them on my podcast. That one's not going out there because I don't want to continue this inaccurate story. So that's where I needed to learn more. I needed to check that again. Next time I think about a story that's not my own, I need to look at the source better. So then I did. I went back to Perplexity and I said, the story or the website that I looked at that you gave me as a reference had this story. Is this story true? And he goes, oh, nope, that's actually a false story. It has been perpetuated by many people, etc. There's nothing that finds itself in true history. I'm like, why couldn't I have known that? Why didn't AI tell me that? Well, because I didn't ask it. See, it's not smart. It just gave me a website that filled in the request. Give me some true amazing stories. And that's how that happened. So that's a bad thing. So it's not, the AI is neutral, but I didn't follow through to verify the veracity of the story. So that's a bad thing. A good thing is this. So when I create my homilies, I often will write 3 pages, 4 pages. And since I've been here at Holy Trinity, it's been so difficult to do what I call do homily haircuts, chopping them down. So because we want it to be 1 point, 7 minutes, right? Well, or roughly that. So that is hard. It is hard to pull things out that I'm just, oh, I love this idea, I love that idea. And I've gone back to my old homilies before I came to Holy Trinity. I look at them and I re-listen to them on occasion, and I get frustrated because I go all over the place. I'm not focused. The blessing of being here at Holy Trinity is it's really forced me to really get focused. And this is a tool. So I'll send the homily through, or paragraphs even, through an AI like ChatGPT or Perplexity, and there's other ones. I say, please reduce this text by 1/3, let's say. Or make this more readable. It's my homily, but I have to go back to it. It gives me an idea, or it gives me a refresh of it based on probability of some of the things I've said and other people have said similar. And I have to go back and I kind of have to add things or change things and make it again mine. Because it's my homily. I don't just like say, hey, here's a homily, and then I give it straight from AI. But it's allowed me to find an objective way to pull out things that are extraneous, because it figures that out. That's one of those things. There's many other things like this. When I'm doing the prayers of the faithful, I even say, like, please review this for grammar or punctuation or, beyond spelling. And it catches those things, and I call thanks. So it is powerful. It can do great things for good, but also when misused, it can be really evil. Someone could actually then look up something with some kind of AI chatbot, we call them, or an AI website, and find out things to harm people. And that's evil. You and I need to be then using these tools very aware of what's going on. Very clear. Their ability to make videos and audio, like they can take my words from this very video and then just with a small little sample, then use that and my voice to say almost anything. So this is why when we are in doubt, the way to really make sure of things is to go to the person personally. This is like we've seen these kind of things, and people do this with you might get an email from me, by the way, you probably may have, and it says, oh, dear so-and-so, I need your help, but I don't want anybody to know, or I'm trying to make this secret, I need to get some iTunes cards, or eventually they'll tell you that, or gift cards, which is not me at all. I would not do that. The only way to know, right, would be to come to me personally. People can use AI to start making phone calls and start conversations using other people's voices, like ransoming you, like saying, hey, this is your Aunt Tilly, or this is your nephew, and I'm in trouble and I need some money. And it sounds like somebody you know. It sounds like them because they've taken a sample possibly of your, whoever that is, and then had them say something that sounds like them. So it's very powerful. So I just want to kind of bring some more practical things. And if you haven't watched Father Dominic's video, I encourage you to do that. I just want to kind of get into exactly how does this work, from the most simple kind of stuff to also the implications of how it can be used for great good or for evil. This weekend, Deacon Brett is going to be offering the homily. I want to encourage you to pray for him now so that he'll be able to get it worked out the way it needs to be. So that, again, it's 1 point, very precise, and it's going to reach our hearts how God wants to reach our hearts, and also that we would be open, those who are going to be coming to Mass, especially those who are hurting the most or struggling, that it'll give them some answers and they will receive a word from the Holy Spirit, or they'll come to a greater faith in Jesus. That's why we're here, right? That's why we do what we do. I'll see you this weekend. God bless you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.